William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
And good afternoon and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink. And we're just going to talk news. My favorite news story of the week was when Trump came out and blamed Obama for tapping his phone.
Yeah, and he kind of doubled down on that today.
But there was something that happened before that.
Okay.
And that is with Sessions. Apparently he did talk to the Russians, not once, but twice. And lied under oath and said he didn't.
Okay, well, that's your favorite story. Let's do this one. Now, Obama was nothing but gracious to Trump when he came to the White House, right?
Right.
They were contentious during the campaign, but it's a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's a total class act. Kind of annoyed me a little bit too that he was that nice to him.
I'm right there with you, Patty.
You know.
And you know what? It annoyed me having to watch it, but I knew while he was doing it, he was doing the right thing.
Yeah. I knew in my heart. I just wanted him to,
Right. Because what could he do? What difference is it going to make if he, he'd go down in history as, and then he ended like a jerk. And that's not what the Obamas did. When they go low, we go high.
Yep.
And Michelle Obama, she was as gracious to Melania as could be. And you know what? Everything that Melania has said has been, I want to keep Mrs. Obama's garden. Yeah, I want to keep Mrs. Obama's speech. Everything that she's done, I'm making fun, but I really don't mean to. Everything she's done, she's come out and said, basically, she was a good first lady. I want to be like her. Mm-hmm. I have no problems with that. How would it look had Mrs. Obama been not gracious to her? Of course she was. And the same thing with Barack Obama. He's there trying to pass along as much information, and there was a bigly amount.
Yes, there was.
He's trying to pass along the information that he needs to get to the next president. He has to be gracious to him and talk to him frankly and on his same level. And
well, a lot of people had guessed that he wanted to have this good relationship with him where he could pick up the phone and call him, or if Trump ran into trouble with something and wanted to confer with him, that he felt comfortable doing so because, Barack Obama loves this country. He wants the right thing to happen for our country. And if Trump was in trouble, he wanted a lifeline to maybe help him through something, you know? And so that's the perfect way to do that, is to foster that relationship.
Yeah. And you say he had to. I think he had to do the bare minimum, and he sounds like he went above and beyond the bare minimum as far as the transition. Because, you're talking about somebody who called you out and for years was questioning your authenticity of being an American, and then trashed you throughout the election. Okay, and then, when the transition came, like you said, he's more than gracious to him, and now he turns right back around and is accusing him of something that he has absolutely, at least he's shown no proof of.
Okay.
Talk about a stab in the back.
Now, the idea that Obama had tapped Trump's phone,
which he's not even empowered to do.
Okay. What do you have? What's the backstory here that you would have had to do, and what would it prove had it been done?
Well, if it's true that Obama tapped, I think it's kind of funny, but it's not, because it's such a serious matter. If it's true that he did tap his phone, that means Obama would have had to get a court order, which means a judge would have had to think, okay, there's probable cause here. So,
but see, all of that can happen, but he would not be the one doing it.
Exactly.
It would be the intelligence, the 17 intelligence agencies doing their thing, and the president is not even empowered to wiretap anybody.
Right.
Anybody.
So that means that the CIA and FBI thought something was going on there, and it might have been not Obama going to court, but it would be the Justice Department going to court, getting the wiretap, and the court giving it to them because they would have thought that there was just cause. Right. Now, had Obama done this, like he's being accused, because everything is, as simplistic as can be with Trump, had Obama done this, why didn't he come out with all the information that he found out from these wiretaps before the election?
Like you said before the show, because he wanted Trump to win so bad.
That he withheld the information until after the election, that he got on the wiretaps that he placed. This story is so dumb.
It's so dumb, but there's so many dumb
I was about
stories.
to say, aren't all of them?
There's so many.
So many.
I think this might be the dumbest one.
Yeah.
And then it all... What it proves, though, I mean, this is so exasperating. What it would have proven is that there was information and evidence there that Trump had actually had not business phone calls with Russia, but some odd ties with the Kremlin.
Or his major campaign people. I read in one account that the FBI or the CIA, whoever, actually did go to a FISA court because they were aware that there were high-level officials in the Trump campaign who were contacting people in Russia, and people connected to the Kremlin, and they went to a FISA judge, and the judge denied them, and so they.
And FISA is that court that was set up under the Carter administration to deal with these kinds of administration and security requests. Yeah.
Right. And particularly exploded, I think, during the W years after 9/11. But then they went back later when they were aware of more contacts that had taken place, and a FISA judge did grant them a warrant.
Because the level of proof that you have to have, it's not very high, but it's high enough that you can't just say, hey, I think I want to wiretap these guys.
Right. But even then, as so many people have stressed, is that the president's not in on. He can't order an investigation, like through the FBI or the CIA of an American. He can't do that. He's not empowered to do that. And so these things would have been taking place without his knowledge and the normal course and scope of being an FBI or CIA or whomever.
Okay, so Jeff Sessions, that's your favorite story.
Yeah, I think that's actually the biggest story of the week.
I didn't say biggest, I just said favorite because it's so stupid.
Seriously, our Attorney General has basically lied under oath, and now wants to write it off as,
he admits.
It slipped my mind.
Yeah.
How can you
really
not say those words?
Exactly.
I had no contact with any Russians.
Right. I had no contact with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. Now, Clinton got impeached for it, for lying.
He was acquitted.
But he did not lie under oath. He was impeached for lying to the American people. So, Jeff Sessions?
Under oath.
Under oath.
Top law enforcement official in the country.
Exactly.
Now, that's a felony.
Under oath. Yeah.
Lying to Congress under oath. Does it matter? He's saying that there were two contacts with Russian officials. It had to do with his connection to his position on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and had nothing to do with the campaign at a time when he was working with the campaign. So he was working with the campaign, and his defense seems to be that he compartmentalizes his life. This is what I do for a campaign. This is what I do in my position on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Is that a defense?
It's not a good defense because of
right. It could be a defense.
Yeah, but of course he's going to say that because unless we have the transcripts from the actual meeting or call, he can tell us anything he wants and lie about that, just like he lied and said that he didn't even have a meeting with him. So we'll really never know exactly what those conversations.
Okay, Josh.
Well, I was just going to say, though, that if he did have an official meeting with the ambassador, then there should have been notes from that meeting. Because it's my understanding, based on, this just comes from the news, but it's my understanding, the campaign, Trump's people brought up how Nancy Pelosi met with the Russian ambassadors, etc. Well, but in all of those cases, there are notes from those meetings that were filed with public record. So everything is legit. So if he truly met with the ambassador, then those notes have to exist, and they can't be something that happens after the fact.
Well, maybe that'll come out.
Oops, I forgot to write down the notes.
and Schumer and Pelosi and all of them had photos taken with the Russian ambassador because it was a very public thing.
Right.
They didn't have the secret meeting they didn't tell anybody about.
He's the ambassador to the United States. There's nothing illegitimate about this. Where the suspicion of Trump comes in is when Trump is saying during a debate, yeah, Russians, go ahead and wiretap Hillary. Yeah,
Exactly.
Go into her emails. Yeah, go release. It has to do with his cavalier attitude during the campaign about the Russians. Schumer might have had and Pelosi might have had and Sessions, friendly meetings with the Russian ambassador. And those meetings might have been about particular things that, treaties, whatever, that they're working out. And good that they're friendly meetings, because if they're not, that's what leads to conflicts.
Sure.
So they should be friendly meetings. That's not the point. The point is Trump was encouraging the Russians throughout the campaign.
Right.
And this is where his supporters say, we listen to the way he talks, not what he says. Well, sometimes what somebody says is important.
I think it was all along important to listen to what he said.
Well, it's always important to listen to what somebody says.
Always.
Not that truthiness, gut feeling you have about what he's saying.
I mean, that's why you and I can have a conversation, Patti and Lerone. We just say, he's one of those relatives of ours that we put out on the front porch for everyone to see.
Well, and then you have to wonder what the Russian ambassador thought. Was he sitting there talking to the senator, or was he talking to the surrogate when he met with Sessions twice?
What do you think is going to be the ultimate fallout from this? Of course, most Democrats are calling him to step down. A few Republicans are also, but he's only recused himself from any further investigations.
And that was a fight.
That was a fight.
Trump didn't want him to recuse himself because Trump knows that he's in on all this nonsense of Trump's.
Is that good enough for you?
I don't know. I think there's more to come. I think there's a lot more to come. But I think that Sessions was kind of that firewall where he wouldn't let it become anything more. And now that's gone because his credibility on this is shot. And he did, in fact, recuse himself from any investigation. So he can't really back down on that. He's kind of boxed in right now.
And Sessions is saying during his confirmation hearing, he said, I should have slowed down a little bit. Because he just answered, no, haven't had any meetings. He could have said something like, well, I did have a couple of meetings. They had to do with my position on the Foreign Relations Committee. If they pushed him further, he could have even said, it was kind of confidential. I'm not sure that I should really be saying what the meeting was about.
Oh, I think he absolutely could have said, and that's what really burned me up, is that he could have said, well, it wasn't under that capacity as part of the campaign. Well, then why didn't you say that? Right. I met with him at least twice about, foreign intelligence or the Foreign Policy Committee. But that had nothing to do with the campaign. So, no, I didn't meet with him about the campaign. Why didn't he just say that in the testimony under oath? And, all these other people, they say, oh, well, Amy Klobuchar and Claire McCaskill met with Russian ambassadors. They tweeted out that they were meeting with them.
Yes, there was no secret there.
Right. Or lying about it afterwards.
Right. Because here's where they're twisting the news. There's nothing wrong with meeting with ambassadors from other countries, friend or foe.
Right.
Because we want to have the best relations we can. We want to avoid conflicts. That's the way you do it. But there is something when the campaign is saying hack her emails, release the information that you find, do illegal things, talking in code to the Russians, and it could be all garbage. But that's what he was saying because
he lied.
We were listening, and he lied about it.
He lied about it under oath.
Well, Sessions lied, but Trump has lied about it also. Oh, I never told him to do anything like that.
He said probably at least as many times as he said he's never had a relationship with Vladimir Putin that he has.
Yep.
It's probably at least the same number of times that he said, "Oh yeah,"
Now, his relationship is based on the Miss Universe contest, and that's okay. Well, who knows? Well, because the Miss Universe contest was held in Moscow one year.
Oh, I know.
So,
But I think it's deeper than that.
Well, it could be. But that's the main business he brought to Russia first. And that's okay. And you know why that's actually a good thing? Because the Miss Universe contest has absolutely no importance. It's seen around the world. It's, a friendly, silly competition. And friendships can be based on that. I don't think he's smart enough to turn that into a friendship, really, but that's what the problem is with that. Anyway, so Sessions lied to Congress. That is a felony. Clinton got impeached for lying.
What's happened again in the past too, with Nixon, with under Kleindienst, the guy he had up for Attorney General, who lied to Congress during his confirmation that he had no conversations about the antitrust suit brought by the Justice Department against International Telephone and Telegraph, ITT. And so they found this tape. Nixon was famous for taping everything. There was a tape where he had a discussion with the president about, trying to stop the lawsuit against this company. And so what's really crazy about it is Kleindienst claimed that he thought that the senator's questions were limited to a particular period, not the entire time in which the case had been pending. So again, this weird little parsing, like, oh, I thought you mean like the whole time. I've never had any conversations with the president. I thought you just put this little bitty corner over here. And that's kind of what Sessions is doing. Right. Well, that didn't fly in the 70s, and it's not going to fly now.
So what happened to him?
Oh, he didn't get
appointed. But they caught him during the confirmation.
They caught him during the confirmation.
You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink, and we'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after this.
This is Rollins Gelland, and I'm listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3, and darn glad to be doing it.
Hi, this is Folletta.
And you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink, and we're just talking a little bit of news today. Before we get to that one, do you want to do the rest of Trump this week in Trump, or
let's
hold
move
that
on.
off? Okay, let's move on. We'll do that.
I want to do my favorite dumb story though.
Okay,
and that was Wisconsin Senator, not Tammy Baldwin, who we love, the other one, Ron Johnson, sent a cease and desist letter to one of his constituents this week for calling him too much.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, if that got around, Patty's going to get a couple of cease and desist letters in the mail, too.
Oh, I know lots of people who get cease and desist letters if that's okay, but it's not okay.
It's not okay.
He can't do that. His constituent has a right to call who represents him.
They sure do.
And just because he calls a lot doesn't mean you get to shut him down.
Oh, my God.
Well, I don't know.
Interesting.
We have... We have a rule in Commissioner's Court and City Council that you can only address the council once a month because we had one person taking advantage of that.
Right.
Are there actually any rules or restrictions in contacting your legislators and representatives?
Well,
and
you can't be threatening. You can't be those sorts of things. But when you call and say vote against HB or vote against SD6 or SB6 or whatever, you have that right.
You have that
want
right.
to call and do it. But what most offices in Congress do, and in state capitals, and they want to form a relationship with each one, who's really their frequent flyer.
Right.
And the way you do that is to say, don't call on every issue. Let's call you. We'll call you once a week. We'll talk about your issues. We'll make sure that your voice is heard. We'll put you in the tallies, and you'll have your own time. We'll call you, and we'll set it up for 2:30 on Thursday, every Thursday. That kind of thing.
Have you ever had a congressman or representative call you?
Yes.
Because you couldn't get through, and what happened?
No, just on mostly activism issues.
Oh, no, I'm talking about on issues when you disagreed.
No, not like that. I've had the canned letters, the totally canned letters that had, some of them don't even, they're right. Thank you for, writing us about LGBT stuff. About that housing issue, it's like totally non sequitur canned letters. I've had that.
Okay, back when I was doing Radio Left with Jeff Staples, he had written to, I believe it was Lamar Smith, who had just changed parties from Democratic to Republican.
And it's missing. Apparently still missing.
Called Jeff, and they spoke for about a half an hour on an issue.
Really?
You have to give somebody who's in office like that credit for, first of all, contacting somebody who opposes you, and spending that much time talking. And, it was a very polite conversation. And Jeff told him exactly why he disagreed. And he listened, and they discussed. Isn't that interesting that people can do that? You can disagree and have a conversation and discuss, but that actually does happen. You don't have to send that constituent a cease and desist letter.
Anyway, I just think it's incredibly funny.
It is funny. Okay. My funny one that came out of the Senate, or didn't come out of the Senate, came out of a Senate committee this week. There was a bill, I think it's SB 4. I'm not sure what it is.
It's not 4.
It's not 4. No. That's a different horrible bill. This is a bill that will allow doctors to lie to their patients in Texas. The purpose of it is so that an obstetrician can lie to a woman who's pregnant if he thinks that the woman is going to possibly abort the child if the child is deformed or
any type of medical problems,
disabilities or medical problems or whatever. It's not quite how it's written. This will allow doctors to lie to women. Now, here's my question. Can they lie to the husband?
Good question.
This got out of committee 8-0. 8 senators.
It sort of makes me sick.
You think?
That 8 people.
Think it's
one
okay.
person.
Think it's okay for a doctor to give incorrect medical information.
False lies.
Right.
False information, lies.
To a patient.
Right.
To a patient. That you're setting up women, in this case, as a separate category of patient, because they're the ones who can get pregnant, I guess. Okay, here's my example of where you're going against my religion in doing that. There is a recessive gene in Eastern European Jews called Tay-Sachs. And babies born with Tay-Sachs disease, it's only if both parents have it will there then be a 25% chance of the kid getting it. A kid born with Tay-Sachs disease will die by the age of 4, usually by the age of 2, will be in pain from the day that kid's born. It's a degenerative nerve disorder. They won't be able to breathe. They won't be able to move very comfortably. Won't be able to eat very well because they can't swallow very well. It's cruel. If you have a Tay-Sachs baby, and I haven't heard of one in years, because we test for it, and people who have it do not give birth to this child, that will not live.
Right.
So you're going to give the wrong information?
Apparently you can.
I mean, I think that's not just cruel, it's murderous in that case.
I think it is too.
It's deciding that this child should be tortured. Hopefully the child dies in a week because it's that painful.
And this is so counteractive to what they say about, the right to live or not the right to live, but
pro-life.
But they don't want the government in our lives. you should let decisions should be made by the people. Well, you're just taking that out of the people's hands.
Well, that's why I'm not sure.
Out of a woman's hands.
I'm not sure. Maybe they can't lie to the husband.
Well, here's the other question. What if a doctor chooses not to lie? Or do they have to lie? By law, they have to lie?
No, they don't have to. It just allows them to.
Just allows them to.
The doctors that have...
And then they can't be sued.
And they can't be sued.
That's the other piece of it.
And to answer your question about do they have to lie to the husbands, well, a lot of these women may not even have husbands.
Well, and not just that. There's some daddy state. I mean, totally daddy state that... this is the legislature I'm talking about. Daddy state that, women are just the host. They're not really fully formed human beings with their own minds and individual thoughts and rights.
Right.
We're just the host to the baby, so we don't really have any rights. So maybe the husband thinks the same way, and they can be honest with the husband.
Maybe.
I don't know, but I think the whole idea is to immunize doctors against lawsuits.
And that's something different. Immunizing a doctor against some lawsuits, making it harder to sue in certain cases, because in some cases you want to get rid of those frivolous lawsuits, but legislating the ability for a doctor to lie?
Yeah.
Right.
That's against everything that a doctor should be doing. It means that if that law passes, you should never trust your doctor in Texas again.
Because you don't know whether they're telling the truth or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, when I went in for my chest x-ray, my doctor, who's a smartass, called me up afterwards and said, well, you're not pregnant. I don't think that he was telling me the truth. Well, he was telling me the truth. I wasn't pregnant, but I don't think he actually took a pregnancy test with me, though.
Are you sure? Are you sure that you're not
with Gary,
pregnant?
I'm not quite sure.
Well, my funny story of the week is one Patti just brought up to me right before during the break, and that is about the new Beauty and the Beast movie. This is the first live-action version of this movie, Disney's very popular Disney movie. And apparently, I haven't seen it yet, but yes, I'm going to see it. I look forward to seeing it. Apparently, there's a 4-second clip in it of a same-sex kiss. And people are flipping out. Apparently, one theater in Alabama pulled the movie and refused to show it because of it. So my immediate thought was, okay, so you're flipping out about a same-sex kiss, but but you're okay with bestiality, because that's what Beauty and the Beast is about. Seriously, do you not know the story? This is a beast in love with a human being and vice versa. That's okay.
But wait, isn't it like a candlestick kissing a teapot?
That too. So
Can't have that.
I just don't get the logic. I don't get it. And again, from what I'm told, it's only it's so quick. It's like 4 seconds.
Well, one criticism of the movie that I saw was, well, they're promoting relationships and love and sex, and well, what do you think Beauty and the Beast is about? It's a love story
between an animal and a human. So can't forget that part.
It's right there, the title.
It's right there, yeah. Beauty and the Beast. So bestiality's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Better than a same-sex relationship.
Huh?
That is Alabama.
It is Alabama. Hey, but you know what? Let's wait. Let's see if any Texas theaters support.
No, those protests have been going on, and the comments that have been written about it have been coming from all over the country, not just Alabama.
And I'm pretty sure that it'll be banned in Russia. Since they're so pro-LGBT.
So pro-LGBT.
But like you said, it's 4 seconds.
Right.
Is it really going to be, who knows?
So it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they just put a big, red X over 4 seconds of film.
Right.
And then went ahead and played it in a theater. So now you missed something.
Right. But of course, I'm going to see it, taking my little girl. We look forward to seeing it, and I'm really curious to see what the reaction is going to be from the other audience members. I'll let you guys know.
It might not even register what's going on.
Not. Because I am curious to see how they work that in the storyline. I mean, it's definitely not.
And where in the story that would be.
It's definitely not in the animated version. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how they did this.
See, and I had a whole discussion with Aaron about why they're even remaking it. She goes, well, nobody's ever done it live action.
Yeah, it's live
I'm like, well, we
action.
don't need a form and format of every story ever told.
Well, Hollywood's running out of ideas.
Well, if it's not Hollywood, it's like The Lion King. It's been on Broadway for years and years. They did that with people.
And I have to admit,
the cats.
Yeah, I have to admit that was brilliant. I saw that. I didn't think it would be what it was. So.
Okay. I guess they can,
Yeah.
Speaking of brilliant, we had a caller who called in and says, does Trump even have a college degree?
No.
The answer is yes.
He does?
Oh, yeah. He graduated, I think, from University of Pennsylvania.
And then I think he went to Wharton.
Allegedly. Well, he did, but he was talking about how bigly he did, and that he was top of his class, and the school itself looked up the records, and he was bottom of his class. Now, far be it from me to be talking about how much more honest and what a much better President W. was, but at least when George Bush went back to Yale and spoke, and he made his famous speech about, I'm here to show all the C students that you actually can succeed, at least he owned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a screw-up in college, and he's telling you he was. Trump has to lie about everything.
Aaron and I sat watching the news the other night, and that clip came on with W talking about how the press we must protect the press. It's a freedom and a right in our country we must have, and it's there to protect our freedoms. And they hold me accountable. And we got done, and we looked at each other and said, "Cannot believe we agree with George W. Bush." Yeah. I mean, it was an odd feeling, but we did wholeheartedly agree with it.
A lot of presidents, when they go out of office, they're working on their legacy, but they learned an awful lot when they were in office. Any of them did. Even Trump will. I mean, Trump has learned so much in the last 45 days.
But he won't learn from it.
Probably not. He's not going to become a better person. But I think, when George Bush left office, and this isn't to defend him or whatever, he took his best program, which was the PEPFAR program, which sent AIDS money to Africa, and sent a lot of doctors to Africa. Gary, my doctor, is one of them, who went to Africa, trained most of the healthcare professionals in Namibia. I think it was Namibia. Is that where it was, Josh? I think it was. But their AIDS healthcare system goes back to when my friend Gary went over there on PEPFAR money under this Bush program. And at the Bush Library here, he has continued that program. Not that he's funding it. I mean, it's funded through, I guess it's funded through a lot of private donations and grant money. It's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. And while Bush understands, they also asked him this week, how did you feel about characterizations of you? And Bush had kind of a funny answer. He's able to turn the TV off if he doesn't want to watch it. He said, though, that some of them made him uncomfortable. But he didn't go on TV complaining about it all the time. He had other things to do. He had a whole country to run.
Well, and Ding-a-ling, Trump said in his address to the joint session of Congress that it was the time for small thinking was over, and that we should put our trivial arguments aside. So in between tweeting and stuff, he tweeted at Arnold.
Yes.
Yesterday. I'm like, here we go. That's the guy.
I can't
believe he's
I don't follow
lecturing us from the floor of the House of Representatives about trivial fighting, fighting over trivial things and petty things.
Arnold Schwarzenegger took over the show The Apprentice,
right?
And I guess this last season the ratings were just awful.
Was it over?
So the show has ended, and. Again, nobody else will give a crap about this. It's an entertainment show. But our president felt the need to tweet about it. And he's blaming it on Arnold. It's because of Arnold the ratings are so low.
Well,
And I think what other people are really saying, as if it's really that important to have a discussion about, the ratings are low because no matter what, Donald Trump's name is still associated with the show. They just don't want to watch it anymore.
Well, that's why he's blaming.
Severely tarnished.
Exactly.
No, that's why he's blaming, because he was a producer on the show this season. And he wants to make sure it wasn't my fault. It was his fault. It was his.
Right.
So
Everything is somebody else's fault.
So at the National Prayer Breakfast a month ago, he stands up and tells people in the room at the National Prayer Breakfast, can I say it again, at the National Prayer Breakfast, ask them to pray for Arnold's ratings.
Lord have mercy.
You know what I mean? It's like, really? And you're going to lecture us on trivial and petty?
Okay,
You're asking the faith leaders in our country to not focus on poverty or war the things that our country really needs some help.
I was going to
with.
say,
don't pray for peace.
You know, give a little
Eddie
bit
Bernice,
for God. But
Eddie Bernice Johnson had a local prayer breakfast, and it was a prayer for unity. She had a Muslim representative, Jewish representative, Christian representatives there. It was a prayer for peace, and it was a prayer for prosperity in our country, and a prayer for no wall.
Those big things. Those are kind of like big topics.
Yes,
but she didn't pray for Arnold's ratings.
She did not pray for Arnold's ratings, or even that if she runs again, that she gets a higher percentage of the vote. She didn't pray for that.
So are we supposed to pray for Ivanka Trump's fashion line also?
Probably. You know, that's...
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, Kellyanne sitting on the couch. That was this week. That was
the old day with that photo.
Okay, now on the one hand, that's not fair.
Why isn't it?
She had her shoes on.
It's fair. It's fair game.
On the other hand, it was just funny.
It was, but it's.
And explain what the picture was.
Oh, there was a whole group of people from historically
black colleges.
Yeah, who had actually planned to meet with Secretary DeVos on education and really talk education. And they said, oh, no, stop that discussion and come over to the White House because you're going to have a photo op with the president in the Oval Office. So they all haul to the White House, and so she's going to take a picture with her iPhone or her Samsung or whatever she's got. And she's sitting on her feet on the couch like a 12-year-old.
Right.
With her shoes still on, no less.
And she is on a skirt.
Yes, with her knees wide apart.
Right, exactly. I mean, it looks very unladylike, to put it nicely.
It's like, when are we going to do our hair? I'll do your nails if you do mine. I was looking like slumber party kind of behavior. It's crazy.
It's a bad picture.
Then they diss President Obama because he had his feet on his desk a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, please. And then there's a whole host of photos of all past presidents put their feet on the desk.
Well, because they have to blame other people. We do something, no, you're worse. That's the only way they know how to deal with it. We need to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hi, this is Valletta Lil, and I listen to Lambda Weekly. I hope that you will too.
And this is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink. We're just talking a little bit of the news this week. So just before the break, we were talking about that press conference that, or not press conference, the joint sessions speech that was not actually a State of the Union address, but was Trump talking to both houses of Congress. Did you think that he sounded more presidential, like he's taking the job somewhat seriously now?
See, that kind of pissed me off.
Yeah,
as they gave him, especially like Van Jones and others that wrote, like, oh, he looks so presidential, because he didn't act like a little kid. He wouldn't act like a toddler. He actually got through his speech kind of calmly. He gets all kinds of awards for that.
Exactly.
Are you serious?
Right.
And he used that woman. I'm sorry, he did.
He totally
used
did.
that widow for his own purposes. I mean,
Yeah,
political purposes.
And that Navy SEAL's father certainly wasn't there.
Right. And I mean, he even went to the extent
the father is blaming directly. He's putting blame right where it belongs.
right on Trump.
I mean, this is what happens when the bar is set so low.
Mm-hmm.
It's so low now that if he does anything remotely like presidential, you get all kinds of applause for it. That doesn't sit well with me.
I loved Wayne Slater, the guy who used to work for the Dallas Morning News. He's kind of emeritus. He's retired now. and teaching in Austin, but he tweeted that it kind of reminded him of riding in the car with Kiki Friedman, going in the, Kinky pointed out the best Thai restaurant in Kerrville. He said, Ash Low Bar. Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
It was so good. But he really, he used this one. He even said, I bet that's a record for applause or standing ovation or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, that's all he cares about.
That's all he cares about.
It's the entertainment value with it,
Yep.
any of it, and that he's the best. He's on top of it. This wasn't about the fact that he ordered this whole mission to happen. He's trying to blame it on Obama, and Obama took a pass on it and said, I'm not doing this. This is not right. This is not ready yet. This is not going to be successful. I'm not doing it. And then, he came right on in and said, I proved that. Let's go do it.
So,
and the guy died.
So do you think, and I'm trying to give him as much credit as I possibly can.
Why?
Because I'm magnanimous, and you know that about me. Do you think what the real reaction were people waiting for Trump to finally ease into the position? He is somebody who came into the office with absolutely no political experience. We knew, best of circumstances, it would take him longer. Do you think what the real reaction was people hoping, okay, he's starting to get it?
I think there were people hoping. I don't know that he's reached it yet, though.
Yeah, because
I don't think he has at all.
I don't think so either, Patty, because that was a written speech done with speechwriters. And, Obama, everybody uses speechwriters.
According to Kellyanne this morning on CBS Sunday morning, he actually had a hand in writing some of it.
I'm sure he did.
Which
perhaps
any president has speechwriters.
That's what I said. Obama, everybody has speechwriters, but anybody, including myself, can go practice a speech and deliver it well.
He was practicing in the car.
Yeah,
from the White House down
but that
Pennsylvania.
doesn't.
Presidents don't usually do that. But again, he doesn't have experience in politics. No problem with him doing that. If he was practicing in the car because he was a little bit nervous before appearing before a joint session, good.
Yeah, I thought it was a good thing to see him.
I would be, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
sure,
I would.
Sure.
I have no problem with that. But it's how you act when you're not given a speech. It's the true test of, okay, this is now you're acting presidential. Mm-hmm. And just the very next day, he was not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, when Sessions came out and admitted to lying under oath.
Just one other story I wanted to get to before the show is over, and it was I want to send out congratulations to the young man who won a wrestling championship, state championship, Mac Beggs. Is it Mac Beggs
from Euless?
From Euless, from my ISD where I went to school.
Euless Trinity.
Yeah. I went to LD Bell, but it's in the same school district. But the story is he won competing with girls. What do y'all think about that?
Okay, so Mac
Beggs
is
a trans man. I should say that.
Is a trans teen.
Trans teen, yes.
And is on hormones.
He is on hormones. And I
How
found
old
the answer.
is he?
It didn't say, but he is a junior, so he's got to be around 15 or 16.
I would think 16. They don't normally start any transition before then. Not any physical transition.
It varies. It varies by person, actually.
It does. Well, before
you can start hormones much earlier.
They can.
If the doctor finds signs of puberty beginning.
They very often do hormone blockers, but not hormones until at least 16. I bet he's 16.
But either way, like before the show, I know you and I were discussing how is it that he was even allowed to compete at all, regardless if it was with the boys or with the girls, because steroids are a banned substance. And just like I thought, I found the answer. It was a medical accepted procedure. That's why he was allowed to compete.
I think he should have been allowed to compete against boys.
I do.
Since that's how he identifies.
Okay, now me being devil's advocate here, I understand it's Texas, and we're not going to learn from this. And the reason it was done was for spite and for every bad reason.
Right.
Do you think it's good, maybe, that he did compete with girls, beat every single one, beat him by a lot. I mean, some of these matches weren't even close. To show, okay, he should have been wrestling with the boys.
I do think it's interesting that there's this case, and then the case that's going before the Supreme Court of Gavin Grimm is a trans guy.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these laws are really targeting, the bathroom laws are really targeting trans women. And I think it's really interesting that they're trans guys who are at the forefront of the fight, you know? So it's very interesting to me.
I think it also should be pointed out that the UIL, who's in charge of all state championships here in Texas, they issued a statement saying that they will let, I guess this was passed, just last year, in January of 2016, by like 95% vote in the UIL, that they will, you have to compete against your own gender. However, they will recognize any birth certificates that have been changed. So had Mac's birth certificate been changed to male, they would have let him compete against males. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I think it is worth pointing out that the UIL will recognize that.
And I think the outcome of this match, I mean, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Congratulations to him.
He was told where to compete. He competed. He won. Not his fault at all, because he said, no, I'm a boy, and proved it.
And he, I would love to have him on the show. We're going to try and make that happen. He said that he's getting support from his team, his school, his teachers, the coaches. They're all very supportive.
Dale Hansen.
When Fort Worth came out with their transgender bathroom policy, which basically was, there aren't that many transgender kids. If you have one in your school, work it out.
Right.
This is a good example of they had one in their school, they worked it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In spite of Connie Burton.
Yeah.
Who would be their senator in that district.
But it's interesting, but now some other parents are pissed off because they thought that he shouldn't have competed against the girls, and their daughters lost. So it's like, you can't have it both ways. You got to let them compete somewhere.
Well, but they're saying the same thing we are.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have competed against.
Right, but then you have others saying that he shouldn't compete against boys. He should compete against girls. Okay, which is it? So basically you got both sides pissed off now. Hopefully this would be, I think this is a good case to resolve it.
Mm-hmm.
We also lost 3 trans women of color to murder this week.
In Louisiana, all 3 in Louisiana.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
One was actually a week earlier and wasn't reported because the person was misgendered.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
It was in Monroe and in, which is in the northern part of Louisiana, and then New Orleans. There were 2.
And New Orleans, so far is outpacing every city as far as murders, just across the board. So do we know if this was just one of those, another murders that was part of that? Was this actually trans?
They don't appear to be connected. The murders in New Orleans did not appear to be connected. China Gibson was, I believe, the first one. And then
who was very popular here in Dallas.
Very well known, very well respected. And Chiara McElveen. And then there was a woman from Monroe. Let's see, Jaquarius Holland. And so our hearts go out to those families. That's really difficult to deal with, and so many times they're misgendered in the newspaper, by reporters on television. It's just so disrespectful.
And how does that happen? Chances are all they were going off of was a police report.
Could be.
So I'm not making excuses or anything. I'm just saying, how does that happen? They're usually going off of the police reports. So police said a man was murdered here at this time with this weapon, and that's your whole report on the murder if you don't have any other information. And that's how that gets gendered, and it's not till a family member comes out and says, no, this was my daughter. So, the Oscars last week, we can't leave without mentioning that.
I actually
the
didn't.
envelope, please.
Yeah, I actually didn't see the entire telecast, but I did watch the entire now infamous clip of the Best Picture Award where Warren Beatty didn't actually read it. It was, what's her name? Faye Dunaway who read it.
Because he looked at it and it didn't look right, so he passed it to her.
Exactly. He
And all
knew
she
something was wrong.
And all she did was look for a name of a movie. She didn't even really read that it said Emma Stone.
Exactly.
In La La.
It's La La Land, exactly. And the real winner was Moonlight. And so, but just like I thought, I knew some heads would roll for who people don't realize this. It's not actually the Oscars themselves who are in charge of the envelopes. It's Price Waterhouse. And sure enough, I kind of felt bad for the guy.
Point out. He had one job.
He had one job.
And he was on the phone.
Supposedly he was tweeting.
Yeah, he was on his phone.
And he had pictures of himself.
And he handed out the wrong envelope. But now they have plastered this guy's picture and name all over the internet.
One job.
So, yeah. But now this really calls him to question about polling, about, these third parties who even are in charge of these well-kept secret envelopes. I mean, all of this. And I think the Oscars have cut ties with him also. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. They've never had this kind of
They've never had this
mess
happen,
up.
and it kind of took thunder away from Moonlight, and you felt bad for the cast of La La
So
Land
a theater
also.
in France that was playing Moonlight, the movie came on, and for 2 minutes and 29 seconds they were playing La La Land. And then they switched movies to the right movie. I think La La Land should take advantage of the publicity. Look, we're talking about it. We wouldn't mention La La Land today.
Right.
If they should take advantage of it, and they should say winner of 4 Oscars and Best Picture for 2 minutes and 29 seconds. And they should just make a joke about it, show that you have a sense of humor. It's the best way to get through it.
I thought the La La Land producer, he was so gracious.
He was.
And with the mix-up, I'm sure he was disappointed and upset.
But he said, "Hey, you guys won it."
Yeah, he was very gracious, very, very. So,
and they said, "Is this some
act? It's just a joke."
Yeah. So what's going on there? So they didn't run up to the stage either.
They didn't.
I'd be hesitant too. I mean, are you really going to have a whole set of producers?
And the other thing about it is
you're not sure about.
So, the other thing about it is, in a list of Oscars, it will forever say Moonlight, asterisk. La La Land was the one called up. But
here's my, I posted this and nobody answered, but I did post this on Facebook. Why did they wait so long for one of the show producers to come out and stop them? I mean, they went on for a while. They're 2
minutes and 29 seconds.
And it doesn't sound that long, but that's a long time.
It is.
2 different people had already given these long, heartfelt speeches. It's like, how come they didn't cut them off from get-go? Like, hey, wait. That's a problem.
They don't know.
No, they said the safeguards that are in place, the people did not kick in quick enough. The one sitting in the front row went, wait, this isn't right.
Somebody knows.
And that person was supposed to jump up and stop it.
Well, I heard that there were 2 people posted on either side of the stage, and so regardless of where the presenters came onto the stage from, they would be given an envelope. Possibly both of them given an envelope. And so one of them had given an envelope to the previous presenters for Emma Stone's win as leading actress in the leading role. And the other guy still had his envelope from his side of the stage. And all you had to do was advance it. Put it behind the others, and then the next one would be the final one, right? One job. And he was tweeting. So he missed his moment, So, there you go.
But, all Warren Beatty had to do was just say, I think I have the wrong envelope.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Instead of passing it over to Faye without any mention at all he had to do was, I have the wrong envelope.
But I don't know.
I think he was confused.
I think he was confused. I would have been too. something right. But you know, I'm not gonna. He didn't pull a Steve Harvey.
No.
Now Steve Harvey, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, last year he read the wrong card. No, he read the card wrong. For the Miss USA, Miss America?
Because I guess it says
the first winner up
and first runner up, and he just read the wrong name.
If you don't know how pageants are announced, then and that's how they're announced.
But both names are on there.
Both names are on
the same
yeah.
card.
One of my favorites, though, is somebody on Facebook posted a clip, a photo taken from Bonnie and Clyde with Faye Dunaway and Beatty, like leaning against the car, and like, these guys are waiting for you outside.
That's funny.
Because they were in a bad position.
That's
they
funny. They really were.
Wasn't Miss
really
America with Steve Harvey? It was Miss Universe.
Miss Universe. That's right.
Because and Trump didn't fire him. We are out of time. Yeah. Thank you for listening to Lambda Weekly here on 89.3 Knon FM. Our guest next week is Sam Tornabani. He'll be talking about Lobby Day down in Austin.
Advocacy Day.
Advocacy Day. Not lobbying?
No.
Advocacy.
Advocacy.
Well, we'll have to find out what the difference is.
Have a good week, everyone.
This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like, follow, or subscribe to us and get notices of all our videos. We love it, even when you call.